In today's magazine, we'll look at tackling obesity and taking care of the environment through recycling. I'm Theodore Henry. All that plus Jamaica House Weekly coming up.
We want a productive Jamaica. We are not productive Jamaicans. Productivity to move forward on this land. Productivity, that's the way to go, we should understand. Productivity is the way to go for all us Jamaicans. Small business, big business, old and young, we are tell every woman and man. We want growth and prosperity for a better nation with a building plan. So we can build our product and sell our product and put more money in our hand. Our economy can rise to a level and build a better nation. Productivity to move forward on this land. Productivity, that's the way to go, we should understand. Productivity to move forward on this land. Productivity, that's the way to go, we should understand. Productivity.
Productivity, Pathway to Prosperity. A message brought to you by the Jamaica Productivity Center, a department of the Ministry of Labor and Social Security.
Good day. I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Wednesday, November 30. The people of Jamaica, through Prime Minister Andrew Holness, joined with the people of Cuba in celebrating the life and work of former President Fidel Castro Ruz. Ahead of Tuesday's official private mass for foreign dignitaries in Cuba, Mr. Holness said the countries shared a strong fraternal relationship through cooperation in sport, health, education, and other areas.
The people of Jamaica view Fidel Castro with a sense of love, a sense of brotherhood.
Prime Minister Holness was joined in Cuba by Pernell Childs, Speaker of the House of Representatives and President of the Senate, Tom Tavares Finson. Cuba is observing a period of national mourning, which will end on December 4. During that period, the national flag will be flown at half-mast in Cuba and at its missions across the world, including Jamaica. The Cuban Embassy in Kingston has opened a condolence book for members of the public to sign from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. daily. Before departing for Cuba, Prime Minister Holness added his signature to the list of those offering condolences. Former President Fidel Castro died on November 25. He was 90 years old. In other news, Jamaica recorded tourism earnings of $2.06 billion from January to October. This represents an increase of 5.7% in comparison to the same period last year. The island also registered an increase of 5.1% in visitor arrivals, with over 3.1 million total visitors. This puts the country on track to have a record year in tourism. Portfolio Minister Edmund Bartlett says the figures show the strength of the island's tourism product, which has recorded consistent growth despite the over 8,000 cancelled trips due to the passage of Hurricane Matthew. Government is exploring plans to build a regional court complex in Manchester. Lamenting that Mandeville needs more courts, Justice Minister Delroy Chuck says development of this complex will help speed up the delivery of justice in the town and wider parish.
Because that center could be the Mid-Island court complex to deal with a lot of circuit cases, family courts, drug courts, all of the municipal courts, and that is something, my vision for the future is to see that happening, and it will happen.
Minister Chuck was addressing a justice sensitization session in Mandeville last Friday. He revealed that the ministry was in discussions with a developer to build the complex on 40 acres of land located in Kingsland near the town center. The property is owned by the Justice Ministry. The minister says the vision is to erect the court spaces on about 3 to 5 acres of the property, while the rest is developed for other businesses. Other investors are invited to make proposals to the ministry so that the project can move ahead. In the meantime, the state will be making changes to critical pieces of legislation to create a stronger framework for protecting personal information in cyberspace. These include the Data Protection Act, which is slated to be tabled in Parliament next year, and the establishment of a single regulator for information and communications technology, ICT. This was disclosed by Minister of Science, Energy and Technology, Dr. Andrew Wheatley, during the 4th National Cybersecurity Conference on Tuesday.
And we are way advanced. I think that drafting instructions were given as relates to the Data Protection Act. We are still, the consultants are wrapping up as relates to the single ICT regulator. Made a presentation to Cabinet recently. Cabinet will be still mulling over the single ICT regulator.
Dr. Wheatley emphasized that protecting the identity and information of Jamaicans was critical as we incorporate ICT in our everyday lives. And finally, a celebration is being planned to observe the first anniversary of Kingston being designated as a creative city of music by the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO. Culture Minister Olivia Grange says the celebration will take place on the waterfront at downtown Kingston on December 4 during Kingston Music Week.
We have a music that has penetrated all corners of the world. And we gave the world a musical icon in Bob Marley. We are a dynamic people, a great people.
Minister Grange was speaking at last Friday's Caribbean Hall of Fame Awards for Excellence. The cadre of recipients consisted of Olympic champions Elaine Thompson and Dion Hemmings, and musical giants Tony Gregory and I Octane. Former Prime Minister Edward Seaga received the Lifetime Achievement Award for Excellence in Culture, Arts and Sport. And that's it for JIS News Today. I am Stephen McHugh. Thank you for watching.
Wet hands with water. Apply enough soap to cover all hand surfaces. Rub hands palm to palm. Right palm over left dorsum with interlaced fingers and vice versa. Palm to palm with fingers interlaced. Backs of fingers to opposing palms with fingers interlocked. Rotational rubbing of left thumb clasped in right palm and vice versa. Rotational rubbing backwards and forwards with clasped fingers of right hand in left palm and vice versa. Rinse hands with water. Dry hands thoroughly with a single-use towel. Use towel to turn off faucet. Your hands are now safe.
Up next, stories coming out of the office of the Prime Minister.
So, in effect, we now have 3 oversight bodies for the IMF program. It is not about talking about doing it, it is about actual results.
And
The state should not endorse or use violence as a normalized tool of control over its citizens.
you're watching Jamaica House Weekly. I'm Simone Wolf. Prime Minister Andrew Holness joined the Cuban people in mourning the death of former President Fidel Castro. In a letter to President Raul Castro, Mr. Holness expressed the island's deepest condolences and remembered the former leader as a revolutionary. Prime Minister Holness said Jamaica was grateful for the over 40 years of bilateral relations with Cuba, particularly in the areas of education and health. The former Cuban leader died Friday at the age of 90. Also on Friday, Prime Minister Andrew Holness instructed the National Works Agency to redouble its efforts in the measurement and certification of the works it has completed to ensure value for money. Mr. Holness also directed the agency not to pay for work which has not met its approved standards and protocols. The Prime Minister gave those directives after receiving a full briefing of the ongoing island-wide mitigation drain cleaning program. Mr. Holness was told that $548.45 million has been used to carry out debushing and drain cleaning up to January 2017. So far, only $124 million has been approved for payment to contractors. At the start of last week, Prime Minister Andrew Holness announced the formation of a tripartite monitoring committee. The team will oversee the implementation of Jamaica's standby agreement recently reached with the IMF. Part of that committee is the newly formed Public Sector Transformation Oversight Committee, PSTOC, which will be in charge of meeting targets related to public sector reform and transformation, as well as social protection. PSTOC will join the Economic Program Oversight Committee, EPOC, and the Economic Growth Council, EGC.
While keeping the principles of transparency, public accountability, and civic engagement, we wish to design the monitoring framework to address the challenges ahead. Not only must we maintain fiscal responsibility, but we must transform the public sector and grow the economy.
And Prime Minister Holness announced the appointments of key persons to lead 2 of the monitoring committees. JMMB boss Keith Duncan was named the new co-chair of EPOC. Cabinet Secretary Ambassador Douglas Saunders and trade union educator Danny Roberts will jointly chair PSTOC.
It is very important that the government be kept on its toe. There is no room for error on the IMF program.
Prime Minister Holness made good on government's promise to include youth in national decision-making with last Tuesday's launch of the Youth Advisory Council.
We value the positive contributions of our youth, and they are a vital part of the decision-making process. They are the change agents and need to play a direct role in shaping and influencing policies and programs that will affect them. It is important that they are engaged and their voices are heard.
The 16-member council will serve for 2 years ending in 2018. They will assist the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information with some specific youth-related policies, after which they'll expand their services to other ministries, agencies and departments of government. The Prime Minister recommitted his government, meanwhile, to upholding the rights of all Jamaicans when he met with a delegation from Amnesty International. At last Tuesday's meeting, Prime Minister Holness received the report titled Waiting in Vain, an examination of the challenges facing the Jamaica Constabulary Force. He said his administration was already tackling some of the recommendations made in the report to include legislative and justice reform. And last Thursday, Mr. Holness renounced the use of violence as a means of control over citizens within all government ministries, departments and agencies.
This is a policy direction that I have given to the government of Jamaica. Our police force must never be seen as a purveyor of violence against its citizens. And we are going to change that. Our state homes must not be perceived as purveyors of violence against our children.
Prime Minister Holness gave those instructions at the launch of the Global Partnership to End Violence Against Children initiative.
As a pathfinder country, Jamaica is committed to providing comprehensive, coordinated, and multi-sectoral services for preventing and responding to violence. We are prepared to strengthen legislation to protect children from all forms of violence and exploitation by bringing all sectors together in a movement to end violence and provide children with a meaningful role at the heart of that movement.
That's it for Jamaica House Weekly. We'll return next time with more of the news coming out of the office of the Prime Minister.
Did you know regular physical activity controls your weight, reduces your risk of cardiovascular diseases, reduces your risk for type 2 diabetes and metabolic syndrome, reduces your risk of some cancers, strengthens your bones and muscles, and increases your chance of living longer? Get active, get fit, stay healthy.
For some persons, losing weight is a matter of looking good, but for others, it's a matter of life and death. We need to get moving on this issue that is weighing down our healthcare system.
Overweight is defined as having an excess amount of body weight, but that can occur from increased amounts of muscle, bone, fat, or water, whereas obesity is defined as having an excess amount of body fat.
The excess fat that leads to a diagnosis of obesity mainly occurs when the body takes in more calories from foods than it is able to burn through exercise and normal daily activities. The result is a major health threat, as obesity is usually accompanied by other issues, such as type 2 diabetes mellitus and non-communicable diseases such as hypertension, heart disease, stroke, and various cancers.
Obese men are more likely than non-obese men to die of cancers of the colon, rectum, and prostate, and obese women are more likely than non-obese women to die of cancers of the gallbladder, breast, cervix, uterus, and ovaries. There are other conditions like gallbladder disease of different kinds, which are associated with obesity.
Infertility and poor quality of life can also result. So diagnosis and management of obesity is of enormous significance.
And there are ways to assess it. The commonest way to assess obesity is by using what we call the body mass index, or BMI. And the BMI is essentially your body weight in kilograms divided by your height in meters squared. And we have scales to judge what your weight status would be. Less than 18.5 BMI would be considered to be underweight. Normal weight is 18.5 to 24.9. 25 to 29.9 would be considered to be overweight, and BMIs of greater than 30 are all considered to be obese.
It's generally easier to gain weight than it is to lose it, which means avoiding practices that lead to excess fat consumption is the easiest route to avoiding obesity. But if you're already overweight, the process may be difficult, but it is achievable. You may need help from physicians, nutritionists, physical trainers, and even therapists, so you should seek them out if that's the case. Either way, most experts will tell you that weight loss requires behavioral change, lifestyle changes that are gradual and long-term.
The problem in our society, of course, is the same as anywhere else. Less physical activity, we're working harder, we don't have time to schedule exercise, and of course, unhealthy eating habits. So more fast food, less fruits and vegetables, less freshly prepared foods, and consumption of large amounts of sugar-sweetened beverages. So this is what fuels it.
Eating healthy helps to keep us healthy. Are you thinking about what would be a healthy and balanced meal, but just can't decide on what foods you should be having? Jamaica's food-based dietary guidelines can provide you with answers. The guideline from the Ministry of Health provides information for individuals, health professionals, nutrition educators, and the food industry. It encourages a daily diet of items from all the food groups. That should include fruits and vegetables, as well as peas and beans and nuts. And the things we ought to avoid are clear: excess salt, that is more than the daily recommended amount, as well as fats and oils and sugary foods and drinks. Also,
if you lead a sedentary lifestyle, then it's very easy for you to become obese because you're not going to be able to burn off the calories that you take in. And of course, if you eat unhealthily, you're more likely to become obese because your body's going to store all these excess calories as fat.
So one of the ways to counteract obesity is to engage in regular physical exercise, like going for brisk walks, jogging, swimming, or riding a bicycle. Regular exercises like these burn calories and get rid of excess fat and weight, helping to control blood cholesterol, blood sugar, and even high blood pressure. Experts in health services say children can be set up to become obese later in life. The Ministry of Health is working to address these issues as it focuses on key strategies to improve overall maternal and child health services. Don't be weighted down by obesity. Take charge of your good health. Eat well, exercise, and get about the business of living well.
Keep we island clean, so clean. From the peaks to the beach, so clean. No dirty up Jamaica, please don't do it. Keep we island clean, so clean. From the peaks to the beach, so clean. No dirty up Jamaica, please don't do it.
No dash no paper, no dash no plastic. Dispose your garbage responsibly. No know how to recycle, learn it quick. And if you drop it, better pick up every piece of it. Plastics last forever, don't forget the bits. Cause when them touch the street, them end up in the sea. Collect pan the reef where they fish them feed. And when you want seafood, I eat your
Keep we
eat.
island clean, so clean. From the peaks to the beach, so clean. No dirty up Jamaica, please don't do it. No dirty up Jamaica, no dirty up Jamaica, no dirty up Jamaica, no dirty up Jamaica.
An environmentally friendly way of managing solid waste is through recycling. The NSWMA is encouraging you to consider this option when disposing your garbage. Take a look.
The National Solid Waste Management Authority, NSWMA, has been partnering with the Japan International Cooperation Agency, JICA, since 2004. Over this 12-year period, 30 employees from the NSWMA have been to Japan where they received training in areas that included composting, managing recycling facilities, landfill management techniques, sustainable solid waste for CARICOM countries, sustainable waste management for Caribbean islands, solid waste management A, which consists of basic introductory courses, and Solid Waste Management B, which consists of advanced courses. Beneficiaries on return submit a report and a proposal on the subject matter for funding by JICA under their follow-up cooperation facility. One such project is the Solid Waste Reduction through Waste Separation, Waste Diversion and Recycling Pilot Project.
The Solid Waste Reduction through Waste Separation, Waste Diversion and Recycling Pilot Project supports one of the main mandates of the National Solid Waste Management Authority, that is to implement programs that will effect behavioral change. So we welcome this initiative. For the next 6 months, the pilot project will be in 3 communities, namely Caribbean Estates and Caymanas Country Club Estates in St. Catherine and Rollington Town in Kingston. The project is estimated to be about $7 million, of which $6.7 million is being funded by the government of Japan through the Jamaica International Cooperation Agency, JICA, and as such we are very grateful for this. In the coming months, we will be meeting with residents, hosting community meetings, attending the Citizens Association meetings, and basically encouraging persons to separate their plastic containers, their cardboards and cans from their regular household waste. So we will be asking residents to take out these items, and a separate truck will come and do the collection, and we will give these items to a third-party companies. The learnings from this pilot project will assist the authority to develop policies and plans to guide and to help us to better manage solid waste and to get residents to buy into the concept of separating their plastic containers, their cans, and also cardboards from their regular household waste. So at the end of the project, we will be in a much better position to determine behavior and attitude towards separation at source, how to really convince and to influence persons, residents, to separate these items from their regular household items.
On behalf of JICA, Japan International Cooperation Agency, I am pleased that NSWMA hold this pilot project of waste reduction through waste separation, waste diversion, and recycling. This project is planned by a senior planning officer of NSWMA who had participated in JICA training in Japan titled Sustainable Solid Waste Management for CARICOM countries. After he returned from Japan, he planned it based on what he'd learned in Japan. I am happy that JICA can assist this project and the JICA follow-up cooperation program, although the amount is not bigger than 6.5 million Jamaican dollars. JICA has been offering several training programs to NSWMA since 1980s. So So far, about 30 NSWMA staff had participated in these JICA training programs.
This is a good government initiative based on a sponsorship from the Japanese government. It has allowed us to be one of the pilot projects, and we, the citizens and the residents of Caymanas, are grateful for this project because it allows us to sort our garbage, especially with the PET bottles. These are a continuous growing source of concern for our garbage collection with regards to blocking our drains and causing havoc on sea life. NSWMA Solid Waste Management has given us the bags so that it will encourage residents to carry out their bottles and put them in a central area that will be collected once a week. We will be sensitizing the residents based on the fact that it will encourage us to reduce our solid waste disposal.
We are taking up the plastic bottles, which we call the PET bottles, for recycling. So what we do, we separate them from the regular garbage in order to have the community be in a better environment. We have collections at the primary school, the Rallington Town Primary School, at 17 Montego Street, at the fire station, and Arcot Road for now, but we are enlightening the rest of the community people about this project. It will help the community in a vibrant way because less garbage, less bottles being around, seeing that we have the Zika virus around, this will also help to decrease the mosquito-borne disease being harbored around.
I think it is a phenomenal first step in the right direction that Jamaica needs to go, engaging the community. Recycling Partners, as you know, fully endorses the program. And as we mentioned, we will continue once your test period is done. We are committed to continue cleaning up those neighborhoods and collecting the bottles. And we'll also use it as a test pilot for other communities that we are hoping to bring on board.
Waste separation is the way forward, and the NSWMA, through our partners, is working to make this a way of life for all.
It is important that you take care of your environment so your environment can take care of you. Keep it clean by properly disposing your garbage. Some things you don't have to throw away. They can be recycled or reused. What about that fruit peel you're about to put in the garbage? That can be used in a compost heap. Conserve water by fixing leaks as well as reusing water. For example, the water used to rinse the dishes can be used for watering plants. Save energy by switching off appliances when they are not being used. By doing these simple things, you can limit the harmful effects on the environment, making Jamaica the place of choice to live, work, raise families, and do business. That's all we have for you today. Join us tomorrow for another edition of Jamaica Magazine. Let us know what you thought about today's show. Send us an email at jamaicamagazine@jis.gov.jm. Don't forget to visit our website at jis.gov.jm. Follow us on Twitter at JIS News or like our Facebook page. I'm Theodore Henry. On behalf of the entire production team, have a good evening.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.